In this video, I'm going to show you how to replace your drag link, and just as a disclaimer, when you're done with this repair, you're going to need an alignment. Now take an 18mm socket, remove this mounting nut. Now I'm going to put it back so I can hammer this stud out. Mine looks like it's new, probably won't have to fight it much. Give it a couple taps. Yeah, just like I thought. Now a lot of times these will be stuck in here, and it'll be difficult to get them out. Sometimes you might even have to replace the whole drag link with this at the same time. Let's remove the cotter pin. Hopefully yours isn't too rusted and you can actually get it out of there. If not, you'll have to cut it flush with the nut and then just hammer a socket on there. Try to take the nut off over the cotter pin. Use a 24mm socket. Looks like someone has recently been here before, so for me this one's actually very easy to remove. But a lot of times they'll get very rusted, corroded, and they're going to be very difficult to remove. If you can get an air tool in here, that would help. And if you can spray it down with rust penetrant ahead of time, that would also help, and hopefully it'll get into the threads and loosen things up. At this point, I'm actually going to put it back just a few threads so that when I hammer the stud here, or the link, and the stud falls out of it, it doesn't fall to the ground or hit me or anything like that. So this is basically just here to hold it for safety. Now grab your hammer right here, and that should break the stud free. I have limited room to hammer here. You could keep trying, or you could use a pickle fork and this should pop it out. There we go. Just gonna wipe this off so it doesn't smear all over the place, and then we can continue with the removal. At this point you can remove the nut and drop this down. On the end where it connects to the passenger side upper tie rod, you're going to need a 15mm socket to loosen up the mounting nuts for the securing sleeve here, and then a 17 wrench just to hold the other side of the bolt. Go ahead and loosen this up. Pull the bolt out. Now you can get this sleeve out of your way, and the next thing we have to unlock is this adjusting sleeve here so that we can actually unthread the tie rod from it. Looks like I got a different size wrench here. Okay, I have a 16mm wrench on this one. Okay, you don't need to take this all the way out. Now at this point, you can mark on the sleeve approximately where it goes, or just remember, regardless, you'll need an alignment after this. For me, I'm just going to make a mental note that it goes 2 threads, 3 threads past this little beveled area here, and I should be good to go. I know on camera it looks like it's almost flush, but it's not. It's just at an angle. Now you can just go ahead and unthread it, and you can also count the number of turns that it takes to unthread it, other than just taking that mental note of where the thread stopped. You want to get yourself as close as possible to a good alignment so that as you're driving to get the alignment, your tires aren't unnecessarily getting worn. There it is. I know this is full of rust penetrant and oil, but I'm still going to coat it with a light layer of anti-seize just so that I can prevent further rust from building up in here. And I'm going to do the same to the threads of the drag link. Now keep in mind this is reverse thread, so when you spin it, make sure you're trying to loosen, that way it can tighten. And just put it back the same amount of turns that it took to take it out, or just match it up with your mark if you had one. Whatever you had to do, put it back as close as possible to how it was before. Okay, right about here is where I had it. However, before I lock it down, I'm going to attach it to the steering box. There we go. Slide it through, put the nut back on. This nut is now a 22mm. It's not a 24. So let's go ahead and tighten it up, and then we'll torque it. And nice and snug. Now let's get the torque wrench. The torque for this nut is 129 foot-pounds. If you don't have the means to actually torque it, in that case, just make it as tight as you can by hand, and make sure that the cotter pin slot lines up, and then put the cotter pin in. It should be just fine. But I'm going to go ahead and torque it. All right, so that's torqued. The next step is to make sure that the cotter pin hole lines up with the slot. Oh, it does, very close. I just have to spin it a tiny bit more. All right, it lines up. Stick the cotter pin through, and let's just bend it over to lock it in. That's done. Now we can tighten up the adjusting sleeve. And this also has a torque. The torque for this is 41 foot-pounds. Now you can take your steering damper and slide this mounting stud down and through the drag link. Use your 18mm socket and bottom it out, and then we'll torque it to 66 foot-pounds. I'm going to hold the stud with a 22. And there you go, your drag link is installed. Now you can go get yourself an alignment.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.